Group B rolling in just a second. And for that, once more, we need the teams here on stage. So please, a big round of applause for the first team coming from Europe, placing second in their region. Give it up for Bleached Bones. And placing second in their region as well in China. Please give it up for the team LKD. And that's the first match for Group B today. Please, Blizzcon as well as, you're not Blizzcon, why are you next to me? Okay, Blizzcon and Han Baichuan, please stand with me. The rest can already take a seat. I know we're gonna make a quick question. I'm gonna keep it short and crisp so we can get that game rolling. Have you guys been watching Group A playing, or have you actually been sitting backstage practicing? What have you done?
We have seen like every game that that the people have been playing here. So yeah.
All right. So you didn't actually spend that time preparing more for that team you're gonna face off against now. Have you been able to catch some of their games from LKD yesterday during the practice?
Yeah, we have seen like many games of these guys. We are pretty confident of what we're going to do. We have a lot of practice versus Mage Warrior, and it's kind of different, like how these guys play compared to the Europeans. So I think they are going to do a good show, and we will be prepared for that.
Yeah, we can't wait to watch that show for sure. So, Han Baichuan, you guys are from China, and as per usual, it's always a bit of a thing of knowing the European as well as the NA teams, as you haven't been facing off against them so much. Have you guys had the chance to catch some of those guys' game yesterday?
我认为我们都跟他们碰到过，但是他们的进攻和防守的节奏可能掌握的比我们更好一些，因为我们国内的队伍可能没有这么强，但是我将和我的队友发挥到最好水平去跟他们应对。
Yes, we met the Group B teams yesterday in the backstage, and we played some games together, and we feel all the other teams have a very good tempo in both attack and the defense. So we only want to try our best, and that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, we can't wait to see the best of you guys. So please, gentlemen, shake your hands. And we're going to get the first game of Group B rolling. And for that, once more, we're going to hand it over to our lovely casters.
All right, thank you very much, Zoe. I'm excited for this match. I don't know, he didn't seem that confident.
Yeah, he didn't. We'll see. I mean, obviously, these guys have been practicing. Paladin, Warrior, Mage, you have the Warrior Mage factor, but you have that Paladin kind of bringing it down a notch from like overpowered to kind of just a normal melee caster healer. And you're playing one of the strongest setups in the game, Lock Shaman Druid. So definitely, maybe when they played each other, it didn't go as well as he thought. So we'll see, though. Anything can happen. They're on stage, so you know, these guys. Oh, we'll see what the LSD comes with. They sounded prepared from what
they definitely did. Yeah. They did. And you guys at home, if you're following along on Twitter, go ahead, tweet your prediction with hashtag Blizzcon so you can let everyone know who you think is going to win this. I don't know. Maybe it was a little misdirection. Maybe he was trying to play it off, play it cool.
Possibly. I mean, I would love to see this Mage Warrior Paladin do something crazy, pull something, you know, pull something out of a bag of tricks or something, and come up with the kill. Make the series a little bit closer, a little bit tighter. But you know, it's all up in the air.
It is, of course, on your screen right now. That is going to be Bleached Bones, Warrior, or Warlock Druid Shaman. Of course, that comp LSD, which old school comp. It's been around forever.
It has.
And so, of course, we have Blizzcon, Botar, and Swapsy, and you know, we've seen such great plays out of these guys over the years, playing just about everything. You know, we saw a lot of enhancement shaman out of them last year. You know, we had always see a resto shaman coming out also. So this is a good comp. You know, it's very solid. They can play very defensively almost the entire game.
That's right. I mean, and these guys, if it doesn't go their way, they can always, I mean, most of these guys can play 3 or 4 other classes at a high level. So this team of Bleached Bones is very experienced with multi-classing.
They are, all right. And of course, on your screen right now is going to be LKD. Yep, and it is going to be, of course, Uniani is going to be the Paladin, which we have to watch, you know, people, if they are going to play, you you got to watch the Paladin, his positioning, his cooldown management, when he's going to bubble, if he save Trinket or not. And then, of course, we are going to have Bad Cat on the mage we were talking about, and of course, the warrior who just was speaking through the interpreter. So one of the things to note when we were watching the games yesterday, this team yells at their healer a lot.
Do they? I did not notice that.
Yeah. It was, when anyone died on their team, we just turned around and saw the mage just yelling at the paladin. So
always blame the healer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's their fault. They didn't heal.
And but it's interesting to see like some teams that they end up meshing very well if they're all extremely calm. But then you have some teams that are just very high strung the entire time. You know, like they're very, very happy when they win, very ecstatic. They pick out everything that anyone did well, during those matches. And then on the flip side, when they lose, they come down extremely hard on each other.
Yeah, I mean, losing as a team, from my experience, is much more important to be able to handle a loss as a team and discuss it and not get heated and get upset with each other. I mean, it's just a game at the end of the day, but a lot of these players, you just got to mesh well with your teammates and take your losses as they are, treat them as a learning experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, if you're at home and you were forming arena teams in last patch, and now this patch where you can play with just about anyone, finding that great mesh of players, that you're not gonna, rage disband and leave the game and Alt F4 out of Skype, and everything like that immediately once your team loses, having that synergy and realizing that, it's just one game out of however many you're going to practice. I mean, you guarantee these teams have been playing thousands of games, just to practice for Blizzcon. And if you drop one here and there, just bounce back, figure out what you did wrong. Yeah,
I mean, it happens. Nobody, nobody's perfect. And these guys are on stage. They got nerves. They got uncomfortable environments, unfamiliar environments. So, anything can happen, and if you don't always want to blame the healer, but what can you do?
Yeah, sometimes it happens, and sometimes it is the healer's fault, of course. And especially with the paladin, he's gonna have to judge every single moment if he needs to save that trinket, if he needs to save that bubble.
Very little margin of error for a paladin. I mean, if it's completely all positioning. They've got to be in the right position. They get caught in the wrong CC. If they use something at the wrong time, it just never ends. The CC chain never ends, and they can't really recover from it.
All right. Looks like we are getting into the Grand Arena. Just about to get into the queue with these two teams. The first matchup in Group B. It's a complete clean slate for these teams. They haven't played anyone else quite yet. It's going to be an exciting matchup, of course. These players, we see Blizzcon, Botar, and Swapsy playing the comp that we expected them to play, and I like to see that. We do like to see sometimes when you kind of change it up a bit, but these guys are confident in this setup. They've been playing it for a very long time. Of course, they are going to be playing against LKD, which will be the team on your right, and they are playing the setup that we thought with that Paladin Mage Warrior, so it's going to be important to keep track of that Paladin during this match.
I'm going to be interested to see if they're going to try and stop this gateway. I think it's a pretty important thing for any of their kill targets that they can't just have a free gateway every time that it's up. So we'll see if they charge in, try and stop that gateway, and if that'll help them at all.
All right, right away, here we go, and here comes the gateway, and
able to stop it
right away.
That's really good. That's very good for this the team of LKD. We do see Bad Cat is sitting that early hex right there. Great job by him breaking some of that damage up.
Yeah, Bad Cat in a Cyclone also. Lots of crowd control out onto the Mage, who's going to be able to toss some crowd control out once he gets out of it. Looks like we do have a Hodge immediately. Oh, so he's not playing Fist of Justice. So Swapsy taking that short Hodge as Blizzcon is already going to put timers up and toss dots out on everyone. Although he's being crowd controlled a little bit, having to port away. He definitely was the target of choice by the Warrior.
When he does squeeze out that Demonic Gateway right there, that is really clutch for that team. He was able to port and get it with the hasted cast right there off that Demonic Gateway, so they are going to have that option of being able to gate across the map if they need to.
And so here's how this team of LKD can be in trouble. Right now, you see the Hand of Purity coming out onto Hanbai, but those Demon Soul dots all over everyone, just taking a lot of damage, as you see. Once the Paladin starts to fall behind, as the Warrior is getting quite low right now, he's getting back in, and he is playing Shockwave this match. Smart idea against these casters, as the Paladin hasn't had to really use too much as we see his Guardian comes out. There we go, and Divine Favor. So he is having
he is using a lot of cooldowns here. Not a bad move. I mean, he's basically matching the Demon Soul of the other team, the Dark Soul, kind of putting himself in a by that pillar right there. I'm not sure if that was a full lockout on that CS or not, but his team seems to be doing okay.
Yep, it was. You know, he dispelled the UA off of himself behind the pillar as we see the blink. And wow, I liked that deep freeze onto Botar. It was just a second too late, not able to stop that Cyclone, as Bluestack is going to take a lot of damage right now with a crowd control onto Swapsy, as Botar is going to be able to heal up his team as he runs back and gets in range of that mushroom for the huge bloom.
Yeah, I mean, and like we said, this team has so many options. The Bleach Bones, the Lock Shaman Druid, they have so much survivability. If they didn't have Gateway, if they didn't have this Shaman, this other team, this Paladin Mage Warrior, they're actually doing a great job as far as offensive pressure and crowd control right now.
Yeah, as you see, Badcat he's having to just walk around the middle of the arena, not being able to line of sight too much of the damage from the Ellie Shaman, as it looks like Swapsy is taking a lot of damage from the Warrior. Henbai's just switching back and forth, trying to stay on Bluestack as much as he can, but you see him toss out, you know, he's using the Thunderclap, you know, trying to get dots up on so many targets, because that's definitely...
That was a Divine Shield right there by the Paladin of LKD. He's not going to have that for later. You know, Hanbai playing that... Bloodbath, Shockwave, I believe, is what he's playing, also with the Root Interruption. He's had that up for most of the game. Pretty smart glyph choices by him for using that.
Yeah, now Swapsy is going to take a lot of damage, but of course Botar healing him right up. Botar full mana right now, and
this is recklessness right here from Hanbai. So they're going to try and make something happen. It looks like Bluckstack's going to be the main target right here. He's dipping pretty low. They're going to need some CC on the Botar. I'm not sure if they can actually land that or not.
Oh, and look at that damage. Hanbai taking so much damage right now. He's in the middle by himself, trying to intervene away, as it looks like he is going to be down to half. No crowd. Oh, there we go. Now we have a fear onto the Paladin right now. Hanbai is in trouble right now. Look at that damage coming out.
Clone coming. He has the rallying cry up, though. That's going to fall with the shield wall. Great LOS by him, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks like he's going to be okay, but now Badcat's the one in trouble.
Yeah,
dipping low. He's going to have to use an ice block right here. I'm not sure if he has it there. He's going to be able to get that off.
And this is where Paladins are in trouble. He is feared right there. No trinket up, no shield up, as Hanbai's almost down as the Aura Mastery comes up, plus die by the sword. He's barely hanging on right now.
This is how the Paladin Mage Warrior needs to play. They're playing very, very well defensively right now. They need to run a lot. They need to run between these cooldowns. Their only chance is when it's all in burst. So they're doing a great job right now defensively.
They are, all right, and the Warrior's trying to find his target again, but still down to half. He can't push up without Badcat's help, really. He really needs that crowd control out on the enemies, and here comes the Lava Burst out from Swapsy. Hanbai picked up again as we see wings coming out on the Paladin.
That's a Shadow Fury Fear right there, though, onto him, but it does break. He has the wings up, so he might be able to top his team there. That's a good clone on Hanbai. He's going to be low during that. I'm not sure if that's a full lockout on the counter spell right there onto Hanbai, but he's in trouble. Their whole team's rotting low. This is not a good situation right now for them.
No, it isn't. Even look at that low Cyclone on to, wow, everyone on that team is going down.
Everyone's about to go down, and they do. I mean, right when that pressure rolls over, it's just game over for the Paladin Mage Warrior.
You know, this Lock Shaman Druid team, you can see it happen. You can see it coming way in advance. Once those Demon Soul dots are on everyone, and then the Shaman starts to get some procs, you know, then suddenly we saw Hanbai was low, but then they immediately turned it around onto Badcat. It just took so much damage, and then as a Paladin,
they played well. He played at the pillar. You know, when Angel was up, he was able to keep his team up, but there's not much you can do when there's that much damage being spread around as a Paladin, and then you have the NS Cyclone on you to kind of, there's no answer for that. So yeah, I mean, Lock Shaman Druid, it's such a strong comp.
They were playing really well. I mean, LKD, you saw that great deep onto Botar when he blinked in for the NS Cyclone. It was just a moment too late. If it would have been a split second earlier, maybe that would have changed the game around. You know, they wouldn't have fallen behind. He wouldn't have had to bubble, you know.
Right.
So many things can go wrong in these matches.
They might even need to play more defensively. I mean, they're playing pretty defensively, but I think they need to catch up. That Warrior, you know, speaking as a Warrior, it's really hard to go out when you're at, you know, 70% against a team like that, because you can't play offensively at all. He needs to be topped up above 90%. Then he can go in and maybe make something happen. Paladin did the best that he could, though. I don't think he made any clear mistakes. He had pretty good positioning. It's just tough.
It is. And I like that he was playing the Root Interruption glyph. You know, playing against 3 casters, he's always going to have a target that he can possibly pummel. And even if it's a, you know, it isn't the strongest spell to to lock or whatever, you're still getting that
you're
extra
still
damage
getting,
bonus.
it's 6% damage for 20 seconds. I mean, it was up probably half that game. So definitely the right choice to make versus this caster team.
All right, and our second match is going to be played on Dalaran Sewers. You know, this is an excellent map for them because anytime that the match revolves around the boxes, they can really punish. You know, Shockwave hitting every single target, getting that cooldown. You know, below that 40 seconds when it hits more than the 3 or more targets, of course. And you know, there's a pet and there's two other targets at all times. So every time that they can try to bring the game to Botar, because Botar is going to have to find some safe places to play.
Yeah, and this gateway is so important. I mean, they stopped at that last game, but he was able to squeeze one out, and it looks like he's going to be able to get it there as well.
Yeah, all right, and of course we are going to have Bleached up 1-0 right now. Look at that fear already onto the Paladin as he is trying to get his team up. Oh wow, this is not looking good whatsoever. He is playing Bloodbath again, that Mass Spell Reflection coming out, but already lots of cooldowns, Wings, and Holy Avenger coming out from the Paladin already, but being able to top up Handby, he just has to keep healing him over and over and over, and you know, burning through that the cooldown so early in the match, you know, because the Demon Soul dots are already back up, and here we go. We have the Heart of the Wild out by Botar. Let's see what he's going to do with it. You see him trying to toss out some Wraths, but wow, barely keeping the Warlock pet alive.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing a lot of pet damage here, not concentrating too much on the Warrior this game.
Yeah, and you see Botar, no problem, healing up his team. You know, he isn't even playing in a pretty risky position in terms of being pretty far from the boss. And then here we go, now we have these Wraths. Look at how much damage going into Handby.
He could just die here. He's going to need to use something. That's just a lot of healing from the Paladin right there to save him, but that is the Heart of the Wild from Botar. He is caught in a sheep right now. I'm not sure if they're going to stick with Handby, but he is taking big chunks of damage.
Yeah, as he's trying to get up those last few dots, you know, Botar's, there goes, his Heart of the Wild has faded, but look at, this is the situation as we see the Aura Mastery coming out, but the Paladin not really being able to heal everyone back up. There we go, now come the absolute gigantic heals with his Angel.
Yeah, and those are the cooldowns. This is the part where they need to reverse pressure. They're putting a little bit in a Blood Stack. Botar still has his Trinket though, so he must feel pretty confident. We see a short deep that must be diminishing return from Shockwave there. Blood Stack seems like he's going to be fine. I think the next big wave on the Paladin Mage Warrior is going to be very dangerous for them. I think they're all going to start rotting soon, and we're going to see a kill here.
It is, you know, Blizzcon getting kind of low, but again, like we're saying, Botar hasn't been pressured whatsoever this entire match. You know, he's every time he's eating the crowd control, Blizzcon is just full life. And interesting to see the Paladin has switched to playing Fist of Justice as it does get dispelled right there. But look at that, dots all over everyone.
Handby could be in trouble.
All right, Handby is going to jump down to try to break up that line of sight right there. But we do have, looks like they are going to play defensive again. This is, you know, they really have to do this, but they can't let the Shaman get any casts off. You know, being able to chain an instant Lava Burst off of a Lava Burst is just so much damage.
And that was a great gateway right there by Bluckstack. Looked like he set it up to maybe gate into there and be able to fear that Paladin. Paladin recognizes that and is switching pillars. Really great awareness by both of those players.
Absolutely, and we see Handby is going to keep sticking on Blizzcon. Looks like they just want to train this Warlock over and over to try to put out that constant damage, as Badcat is down to half right now, and he is going to be cloned. Off of that clone, it's interesting, Badcat isn't able to put out too much crowd control whatsoever against this team. It's tough with the shocks and the groundings.
Yeah, I mean, talk about making that mage his job a nightmare. I mean, he's not able to do much. Paladin doing the best that he can right now. He has really good positioning. You know, his team's taking some spread damage, but he seems like he's okay to heal through it. That looks like a lockout right there. So, but I don't think anyone's in too much trouble. You see that die by the sword by Handby there, reducing some damage. We have the wings coming out. Things are going to be okay for now, but not looking too good. I mean, the Paladin Mage Warrior aren't putting out too much pressure. They need to make something happen.
Yeah, I don't know if just training this Warlock is going to work too much. Maybe they want to switch it up on to the Druid or something, because they're not even getting pet kills at this point.
Right. Yeah, they are definitely. I mean, they're playing well. They're playing well defensively, but their offensive game is just not. It's not happening. I mean, it's not easy either. It's definitely extremely rough to try and gain momentum versus this team when they have so much survivability.
Yeah. And you see they have to constantly be playing defensive once those defensive cooldowns come out by Blizzcon. You know, Bad Cat having to pull back to the boxes so many times, and I mean, even with this damage coming out, you know, it isn't even moving his hit point bar. These hots are just so strong.
Paladin had to bubble that fear right there. He came in to help, I think maybe Fist of Justice, one of the Druid or something, but the Warrior had to pull back. Paladin had to shield. I mean, that's what happens when you try and go in as a Paladin. If you're not able to land that crowd control, it just puts you in a bad spot. There's the NS clone onto him. They're trying to make something happen here.
They are. You know, we don't see too many cooldowns pushed out too much, as Botar is going to blink and try to get more crowd control out, as Bad Cat is taking so much damage. Blizzcon tossing out all those dots onto his target, and it's got to be rough as a Paladin. He's constantly have that slowed casting effects from the curses, as you see the Hand of Purity coming out again on Hanbai.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and he's got really great positioning right now. And he's actually avoiding a ton of CC by putting himself where he is. Looks like he's going in for something on the Druid. There's the Fist of Justice on him. He's trying to follow it up with a Blinding Light, but it does get spell locked or sheared there. So that they're going to break that up. Great job by the LSD there to stop that CC chain.
Absolutely. Now Botar, as you can see him having to NS, looks like not sure what he NS there right there. Now it looks like it might have been a mushroom. So Swapsy down to half right now. Taking a little bit of damage.
And that is a full sheep right there on a Botar. He does decide to trinket that, so I think that's I think that was actually the only trinket that he's used this game as far as defensively, but still in trouble. We see the Iron Bark, the Shamanistic Rage is up. He should be fine through that. Let's see if they can carry any momentum onto the Shaman here. They seem like they're actually doing a lot better than going on the Warlock, though.
Now Botar is going to be pushing up, trying to, as he gets stunned right there. Another Fist of Justice coming out as he's going to sit it because he doesn't have his trinket up right now. Blizzcon, of course, is going to be taking a lot of damage as that Shockwaves comes out. He's stuck in the middle right now as we see a Spell Reflection trying to catch.
Ooh, and Bad Cat dipping really low right there. Has to Ice Block. That was pretty unexpected damage on him. This is the Ellie Shaman damage, and when we're starting to see the spread damage, we're starting to see the rotting. Let's see what the Paladin can do if he can keep his team up.
Yeah, the Paladin is extremely low right now, having to play behind the boxes, trying to get his team back there. As you see him push out pretty far. I'm wondering what is he trying to get a Hodge off of this? I think he might. Yeah,
I think he's trying to move away from the Warlock too to not get caught in some other CC.
Yeah,
but he is in a bash right now, so big trouble. Shield wall right there from the Warrior. That's going to keep him alive, but not in a good position right now. He's got to be able to catch his team up.
Yeah, he had to push into the Shaman right there, who had Ascendance up. Still has Ascendance up as it just fades, so they pretty much negated most of that Ascension damage, which is very important. However, we see a Trinket out of Unii right there. That Paladin doesn't have a bubble, doesn't have a Trinket. He's in so much trouble right now as Henbai is taking so much damage.
He could just die. He's going to go down.
Wow.
Such a hard situation to deal with. The Warrior was low. He was getting knocked around. Really hard to deal with as a Paladin.
It really is. Wow, and Bleached Bones, again, so much damage out of that Shaman.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, if they're not on him, they were on the Warlock for a lot of that game. And, you know, you can't imagine, he's just free casting a lot of the game, able to keep his Flame Shocks up, get his procs, and definitely the damage can get pretty out of control. That could be why they started going on him, which they actually had some decent momentum going on him. But again, that Paladin, it's such a hard life, you know, trying to balance everything out. And you know, he just died there, you know, unexpectedly.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see the Paladin having to make the choice with dispelling against this Warlock Shaman team, because if you can keep ahead of the Flame Shocks, you know, and kind of balance out how many Flame Shocks he has up at one time, you know, you can kind of reduce your RNG chances where he's just going to launch like 4 lava bursts at you. But it can still happen at any point, you know, and then you run the risk of dispelling that UA, which, you know, Botar had they had it on the entire enemy team the entire time.
Yeah,
like UA was everywhere.
Right, and they played well. The Paladin Mage Warrior absolutely played well. I mean, they're not making bad plays at all. I mean, if anything, the Paladin had pretty good positioning for the majority of the game, avoiding CC. Didn't get caught in too much stuff. We saw the Trinket at the end. It was a good Trinket. No real mistakes. It's just really hard to overcome that amount of damage.
So LKD was able to choose this map and the map before. Of course, they chose Dalaran Sewers. It was a smart play. They were able to use that ring defensively every time that they pulled back a lot. And they've chosen Ruins of Lordaeron, and I'm not sure what to think about this pick.
Yeah, that's going to put the Paladin in a bad spot. I mean, he has nowhere to go. He's either going to be sitting in the room and he needs to come out to heal, or, you know, everyone's going to have to retreat back to the room, or they're going to try and take the tomb, which might be their best bet. and maybe, you know, just try and pillar around those fears.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to, I mean, of course, stopping the gateway on this map is extremely hard, you know, for that warrior. If he's going to be pushing up, as long as there's any sort of crowd control on him, you know, whether it be like an NS clone right from the start, you know,
right.
it's tough. You know, maybe we'll see him like flying in with spell reflection up, you know, expecting.
It's extremely hard to stop it. I mean, you can cast it out of line of sight on those steps right there, and it's pretty tough to stop. So
yeah.
That gateway is going to happen. They might just need to live with it. I think maybe they'll learn from what they did last game and maybe coordinate some more stuff onto Swapsy and make him the primary target. Maybe shut his damage down a little bit.
Yeah, the Warlock, training the Warlock just didn't seem to do anything last match. I mean, there was a couple moments when the pet almost died, but I mean, when you're basing this entire match off of making sure that your Paladin is going to have the cooldowns necessary to keep people alive, and then, I don't know, it's tough. Of course, that gateway does get off immediately. Let's see how the Warrior is going to handle the start of this, because this is going to be a rough situation for him. As you can see, they're trying to grab the tomb, but they still have to push up for that warrior to be able to do damage, and this is what's going to happen. This Lock Shaman Druid.
We already see a PvP trinket out of Badcat there. I think he may have trinketed early fear, probably trying to utilize all his cooldowns. Bluckstack does trinket there as well, taking a little bit of damage, not too much CC onto Botar though. Both teams just kind of retreating back. Paladin running in, uses his trinket. This is Ascendance. I mean, both these teams are actually going pretty crazy right now. We might see a really early kill, but both teams just kind of mirroring each other's cooldowns, trying to match offensive cooldowns, defensive cooldowns.
Yeah, as you can see, the Paladin, you know, sitting really far back, having to wings and Holy Avenger. Badcat, of course, taking a lot of damage from that Shaman. Oh, as he's going to Temporal Shield, so he's going to heal back a bunch of that damage right there. Aura Mastery comes out as he's able to spam out that Poly. Botar is counterspelled also. So Bluestack is definitely the target again as he gets disarmed. So we have the Paladin who's going to try to keep his team up right now. Hasn't had to bubble yet, but he did have to trinket a little while ago, so he's not going to have that active.
Right,
as you can see him cycle through the second set of cooldowns right there, having that Angel out with Divine Favor as Badcat.
That's a good offensive clone right there. That's going to keep him low. These are Angel heals right here. These are the heals. This is the time when he has to heal, and if he's in a Cyclone, he's not able to do that. Again, doing a good job sitting at the pillar, trying to avoid CC. Does get spell locked or shocked there. So Badcat's going to be in a little bit of trouble. You see a lot of damage on him.
Yeah, this Paladin is getting locked pretty much constantly. It's a rough time because he had those few seconds where he couldn't cast. Look at the hit point bars. He just rots down from all that dot damage.
Definitely. And again, the LSD looking solid. I mean, not dropping too low. Bluckstack's going down to about 70%. He's in a stun right now. We see a sheep onto Swappy, full fear onto Botar. Trying to do a little bit of cross CC there, which is good. But again, you know, one of them just trinketed and he was able to tremor him out of it. Not able to make much happen with that.
Yeah, and they can play defensive whenever they want. Of course, Bleach Bones being able to play the entire starting room and having that gateway, you know, as the point of mobility. As we see a block come out from Badcat, his pet is also dead. This is not looking quite well for LKD on this map.
Definitely not. I mean, Botar still has his trinket up. They're just playing very passively, very confidently. We see the bash onto the Paladin there, into a full fear. Very nice. He is going to trinket that, so he's not going to have that available. But again, we see a good root onto him too. He's going to be stuck over there. This LSD playing very well with their cooldowns, locking that Paladin out.
Yeah, and the Paladin is falling so far behind as he gets cycloned. Half cyclone right there as Henbai is almost, he's going to be killed through this. This is crazy amount of damage. Those dots coming up, and we don't see too many casts quite yet.
That's another spell lock right there onto the Paladin. I mean, he's going to be in big trouble here. Hanbai's feared. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get his cooldowns off. Badcat's low. Their whole team's dipping pretty low. You see the mage, Badcat, is trying to split up the damage. He's putting a lot of sheeps on a Swappy, trying to break up their damage a lot. He's doing actually a good job. They're playing well. They just have to play too defensively through this.
They really do, as we see that shockwave come out, but it didn't do too much as they are going to go on Bluestack, and this is actually a decent amount of damage. No cooldowns out of Henbai, though. You know, he forced them to port back. You know, he didn't really use anything, so that's good. At this point, though, that ring, oh, I like this ring. Oh, it wasn't a full ring. That would have been a great ring right there, as Badcat is going to, that was his second block right there, so he's going to be in trouble if he gets switched to, and I don't think he has a pet still.
That is a full sheep onto Botar. Bluckstack does not have a port up for a few, but Again, at Warlock, he's been real tanky the last couple games. I don't know if they're going to be able to score a kill on him.
Yeah, and I'm surprised the Paladin is still keeping his team up at this point.
Yeah, this Paladin's actually playing very well right now. He's getting locked, which I'm not quite sure about, but his positioning and his cooldown usage seems to be pretty solid.
Yeah, absolutely. He's being really greedy with those casted heals, trying to get those quick divine favors off and stuff instead of, juking a whole lot. And there he goes, gets locked again. And this is when his team is in trouble, as you see dots on all targets, as we see a temporal shield again from Bad Cat, doing everything he can cooldown-wise. He just got
had
shot.
The bubble right there. Had to use his divine shield. Bad Cat in a full clone. Not looking good. Without the bubble, Angel's coming out too.
Yeah, I like to see that you see the Cyclone constantly onto Bad Cat every time that the Paladin bubble comes out, as we see.
Looks like they're trying to do something onto Botar here. He does use his bark skin. He's not going to have that up for another swap if they decide to go on him. I think that is the right target. I think they need to make more swaps to Botar.
Yeah, they really do. They haven't been putting a dent into his mana whatsoever in any of these matches. And Bluestack, it's a good target that they can sit on constantly, with that warrior damage. But, if Botar's not pressured, there's no point, as Botar is in a full deep, followed by a full poly, still has his trinket and not choosing. He's just going to sit straight through this, as Bluestack has an orb on him, so he is going to be taking a lot of damage. But again, look at that, sitting through the poly completely, followed by a fear. This is a good crowd control chain.
This is a good crowd control. It does get tremored there, though. That again, that's what makes a difference right there. Having that one extra break, it really just breaks up a lot of the damage. Something that could have been a lot of momentum gained just completely gets negated. Paladin doing a better job right now, moving back. Seems like he is going to get a fear. Great Hodge right there onto him, sprinting away, doing a really great job positioning-wise of avoiding CC.
He really is. As you can see, Bad Cat's pet still really low, 2%. He's just probably going to rot out at this point, barely surviving as still at 2%, no heals coming out. Of course, the Paladin having to worry about way more important things. Bad Cat down to half right now as that fear ends on to the Paladin. He's playing way in the back right now. They didn't do a great job of taking over the tomb. Of course, the Warlock is going to be camping on top of that. And that stops the Paladin from having his way, playing on top of that, using that for LOS.
Interesting thing to note is that, they went on Botar. We called it about a minute ago. They got Barkskin. They got him to 50%. They haven't touched him since.
Yeah.
I really feel like, I know they're under a lot of pressure, but I feel like they need to kind of coordinate getting themselves back topped again and then making those swaps to him without Barkskin.
Yeah, this is rough because Henbai isn't able to push up because they are playing across the tomb. I don't know about this positioning, especially with a Paladin. He knows he has to sit back, so he's not...
Henbai dipping very low right now,
there's
even
Storm
through
Lash.
heals.
All right, and the Stormlash Totem coming out. They're trying to get the massive amount of damage as you see Rally, Shield, everything coming out from that warrior defensive-wise.
Whoa, and Bad Cat dipping really low. Might need a block. Gets the block at 5,000 health.
Wow, that was crazy.
Very close.
Yeah, and the Paladin does have his trinket back up, so he'll be able to break the next CC chain that starts on him. But maybe this was the right call to play pretty far back. But it means that every time, there we go, every gateway away, it just completely stops all offensive pressure.
There's
Seems
the
like
full fear again onto Botar. Does get tremored out. They're trying to make something happen on Swapsy here.
Henbai has Recklessness up right now. He's trying to make something happen onto Swapsy. His Nature's Guardian procs right there as he is getting kind of low. Botar still has his trinket up. NS, we see NS coming out. But Swapsy's still not getting healed up to full as he is stunned by that shockwave.
Yep, and Botar's going to be sitting that deep right here, but he's going to there's not too much follow-up with CC right now. He's on Sheep DR. There's no fear up right now. This is where Swapsy is vulnerable, but Botar's not in any crowd control danger at all.
Now, actually, if this game continues to go on longer, it actually might play into the favor of LKD. Of course, we are about 8 minutes in, so that dampening has already kicked in. It's probably at about like 8% right now, 9%, maybe 10%. So that's a large amount of extra healing that the Druid has to deal with.
Yeah, definitely. And the Paladin on LKD is not doing too well mana-wise here. Really struggling, but doing an impressive job of keeping his team up through all of this. It's extremely extremely rough.
Yeah, he can't really dispel this dot damage without worrying about dying himself. And of course, Swapsy taking a lot of damage again, but every single time that he is focused, he's just running away as look at the dot damage as the die by the sword comes out. A fear onto Hanbai. The Paladin is trying to play max range right now, which means Hanbai isn't able to push up as offensive as he would like to be.
Oh, and the Paladin could just go down here.
Oh,
huge
wow.
damage, spiking him low. He's going to try and get the cast off. He has to cast. He gets locked.
Again.
He goes down. Such a good job. I mean, he's really playing a really great game, but just gets overwhelmed, and they just catch him into a quick silence, and he just goes down.
And that's it, yeah. Bleached Bones just doing a great job right there. Wow, and those damage numbers, warrior damage. You know, he was able to stay on his target, and it's rough as the Paladin because they didn't grab that tomb.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Paladin had it. We saw him. He was moving back towards the room a lot. They initially grabbed the tomb, but he moved off of that, which he really had no other choice. Otherwise, he was going to be eating a lot more CC. But yeah, it gives Hanbai a much more difficult time to try and get in their face, do damage. He's having to go to defensive a lot, not able to put out as much pressure if he's not topped off all the time.
Yeah, especially where they were going on Bluestack a lot. You know, his damage received was way higher than Swapsy and Botar. You know, they switched up, and like you said, I wanted to see more switches onto the Druid.
Right. I think you know, maybe if they go back and watch the VODs, they might regret that of not going on him. I mean, they got the cooldown that they needed when they went on him, and they didn't do it again. I mean, sometimes you just got to realize, you know, who's a viable kill target and who isn't. When you're putting all this CC into one target, like. They have good setup on that Warlock, but they can't finish. It's got too many cooldowns.
Yeah, and one of the things to note, if you're at home and you're used to playing your comp a certain way, and you know that, let's say you are playing Rogue Mage Priest, you know exactly how your opener has to happen every time on like CC the healer, you know, kill a DPS. You know, but what's great at tournaments is changing up your kill order, changing up your kill target makes such a difference. When we saw Jungyup's team, you know, win Blizzcon in 2011, every single match they went on somebody different.
Right.
And that's great to see. You know, they really trained the Warlock into the ground this time, and it didn't buy him any ground whatsoever.
Right. I mean, and it's tough. It's not that they're really making a bad decision or they're playing bad. It's just they've got to get through so many things, and you know, if everything just doesn't line up the way that it is, they're not going to score a kill. They need to get something that has less defensive cooldowns. Obviously, the Druid has Displacer Beast, poor, but he's got a little bit less flat mitigation on him once they get through the Barkskin, Iron Bark, and I think that might have been a better target, but you know, that's a 3-0 for, or is that 2-0?
Bleached Bone. Yep, that was a 3-0. So, you know, there were some interesting choices. I don't know about Runes of Lordaeron as a map choice on that. I think that it showed right towards the end where the Paladin couldn't push up. It meant that Bad Cat couldn't push up, and his warrior had to play on the corner of the tomb. Of course, with LKD losing 3-0, they are going to be dropped down into the lower bracket for our Group B. Of course, Bleached Bone is going to have to face off against the winner of PvP Live and LGIM, and that's going to be an exciting match.
Definitely. That's coming up next, and that's going to be a huge match, and then the winner of that's going to be Bleached Bones. We got a lot of crazy matches coming up in this bracket as well.
We do, and I can't wait to see PvP Live play. You know, we've got some new faces on the team. They're going to be the first time ever playing on a stage in front of all these people at BlizzCon.
Yep.
And so, you know, you got to handle the stress.
No pressure.
All right, and of course we do have Zoe with our winners of the last match, Bleached Bones.
Thank you very much. And of course, congratulations to you guys. That is one way to start off Group B. So let's talk a little bit about the matches we just saw. I mean, what really struck the eye for many people was the choice from your opponents in terms of a healer. Right at the last game, we really saw how much the Paladins struggled. Do you think they should have rather gone for, like, say, a Shaman or a Druid, or do you think that the Paladin was a valid choice?
Paladin is always a right choice, a decent choice, but obviously versus LSD, you can't count on like the heals on the Paladin, because most of the time the Paladin is just getting tongues and getting CS on cast. So I think the best choice in general is Druid, because Druid Warrior Mage is like, Photon is like the best comp in game actually, and even Shaman versus LSD should work better than Paladin.
Well, it was really a pleasure to watch you playing that LSD. It looked so solid. So you showed the confidence in the first match. Now PvP Live or LGIM could potentially be your next opponents. How confident are you going up against either of those teams?
Well, we are always confident enough, but probably the PvP Live is going to be one of the strongest teams we are going to face. And LGIM is a decent team. We are confident that we will do a good show with LSD or other comp. We are not afraid of them at all, and yeah, we're just gonna win 3-0.
All right, 2-0. Well, we can't wait to see the next game of you guys. So we let you go into a well-deserved break. Thanks a lot for joining me for the interview, and once more, congratulations. We are going to go in a quick break as well, and afterwards we're back with PvP Live going up against LGIM. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
warrior. Paladins have many defensive tools, including Divine Shield, which prevents all incoming damage, Hammer of Justice, a very powerful stun, and Hand of Protection, which grants physical immunity to the Paladin or an ally.